It's mailbag time here on Chicago Bears Now. I'm Harrison Graham. King Benny J asks, could the Bears sign Zack Martin to a 1 to 2 year deal? You know, Zack Martin in his heyday, I think for probably about 8 years, was the best guard in this league. But he's in his early mid-30s now. His body is starting to betray him. Kind of feels like he's on the Tyron Smith train right now, where it's, do you extend your career if Dallas doesn't want you back? Tyron Smith said yes, and he signed with the Jets. I could see Zack Martin saying, if Dallas doesn't want me back, I might just retire. But if you told me he wanted to sign a 1 or 2 year deal at a reasonable price to come play guard and be a mentor in that offensive line room, he's still a well above average player. I wouldn't say no. It would depend on money, and obviously you'd have to feel good about his medical status because he ended last year on IR. What say you? Should the Bears sign Zack Martin? Type S for sign, P for pass. I don't know, 1 year, $8 million, incentives up to 10, something like that. I mean, if you told me that's what it was looking like, you could talk me into it. S for sign or P for pass. Mike Nintendo Master, what are bigger targets in the draft? Offensive tackle, guard, edge, or defensive? I'll just assume defensive tackle there. If I had to order those, I'd probably go guard, edge, offensive tackle, defensive tackle. But all four are needs. But if you made me like order them, and I would lump in center with guard. Like interior guys, edge, tackle, defensive tackle. That would probably be my my order. Now, the one caveat would be is if Braxton Jones' medical situation isn't good, then offensive tackle would probably leapfrog edge as your number 2 need to pair someone with Darnell Wright. Mike G with the $5 super chat. Appreciate that, Mike G. How do you think the Bears feel about Ian Wheeler? I do think he's a bit of a forgotten guy. I think he had a shot to make this roster before he tore his ACL. We saw in Hard Knocks, they're going to bring him back. He's on the 90-man roster. He'll be someone that gets an opportunity. And, you know, he had surgery, I guess that would have been late August. So we're, about 5 months into that? You know, can he get cleared by some of the OTA stuff? We'll see. If he's ready by training camp, that's a good sign. I think it'll depend on what they do in free agency and the draft. Because I think right now, he's probably your third back right now. Roschon, Swift, and Wheeler. Do they add 1 or 2 backs in the offseason? If they add 2, that's going to be tough because I still think Roschon's going to be on this team. I think Swift's going to be on this team, and I think they're adding at least 1. But I could see them adding 1, and then you carry 4 backs, and Wheeler's that 4th guy. I'll tell you this. I think he's got more pure running ability than Roschon Johnson does. I really, really do. But small school guy, missed his entire rookie year. We'll see how he looks coming off the injury. But I was pretty impressed with him. I thought he was worthy of a roster spot before he had that injury. Hit that subscribe button if you're a Bears fan looking for more content on a daily basis here on YouTube. It's what we do every day, multiple videos. If you want that in your feed on YouTube, just subscribe, turn on the noties. You're not going to miss out. It's free. Got you covered. Hit that sub button. Calvin Burrell, what does success look like for Johnson and Caleb in year 1? I think that's hard to measure out. I think success looks like by the end of next season, you're just feeling a lot better than you did after this year, right? I think Caleb did some good things as a rookie, but it wasn't really linear. It was just a lot of just woo. There was no momentum throughout the season. There was some good, there was some bad, there was some ugly, there was some good again, then there was some bad again. I think from week 1 to 18, if you feel like lots of growth was made, I think that's what success looks like as far as wins and losses and stats and all this stuff. You know, we'll guesstimate all that as the offseason goes, but I just think growth with those two together, the offense, it's one of those things when you'll know it when you see it, right? This year, if being objective, it was all over the place. Sometimes it looked awesome. Sometimes it looked terrible. Sometimes it was, chaotic. Sometimes it was he had no chance in that play. Other times it was, what are you doing? We saw it all, which that's standard for a lot of rookie quarterbacks. Minimizing the kind of the variance, I think that would be a positive next season. Xavier Soup, do you guys think Tutu Atwell is a good wide receiver 3 option? I think he fits in perfectly with DJ and Roman as a burner. What is your thoughts? I think he's like a low-end 3, But I will say this. If you're thinking your offense is going to be DJ, Rome, Komet as your receiving options, and you just don't want to spend a bunch of money for your other receivers, I think Tutu on like a $3 million deal to just come in and be a burner, I don't hate it at all. Now, if you think he's going to be Jameson Williams, he's not, but he had over 500 yards this year. Like, he stepped up and had some big games when the Rams had injuries at receiver. So I've always liked Tutu Atwell. He's got limitations given his size, but it's like a low-end 3 that has some big play potential. You can do a lot worse, especially if you're just prioritizing your money with different personnel. I certainly could see that being a possibility. More questions to be answered here, but I do want to tell you guys about our sponsor first. That is Prize Picks. Daily fantasy made easy at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a $50 bonus when you play your first lineup for just $5. 2 players or more with players on different teams qualify as a lineup. You can cross over your sports with Prize Picks. What does that mean? You can have a football player, you can have a basketball player, you can have a hockey player, all in your same lineup. New lineups every single day. I've been doing these season-long fantasy leagues forever, and I'm kind of tired of them. I like change. I like trying out different players, different lineups, different kind of setups, different lengths of teams, 2-player lineups some days, all the way up to 6. And that's what Prize Picks offers. It's different every single day. You know, the problem with season-long fantasy, if you have a bunch of injuries, you're just kind of screwed. Well, in Prize Picks, you can have a new lineup tomorrow. That's what's awesome. This is a 3-player lineup I've got this weekend. They have a deal on Jayden Daniels, half a passing yard. You take the more on that. Travis Kelce, we know what he's about in the playoffs. He'll take the more on his receiving yards. And A.J. Brown, little demon pick to find the end zone, which is a little tougher to hit, but I think Washington's going to make Jalen Hurts throw the ball a lot. So I like that one. 5 to win just more than $50, but you can win up to 1,000 times your money on certain lineups right now. Prize Picks does it all. Get signed up today. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Code CLNS, $50 bonus when you play for just $5. Ferta Productions, how about Brian Hartline on staff? You know, he's been rumored forever. Is he going to be a college head coach? Is he going to jump to the NFL? Is he a future play caller? And he's kind of just been loyal to Ohio State, where he played his college ball. He's considered one of the best recruiters in the country. I imagine they're paying him pretty well, which is why he stayed there. Would he want to jump to the NFL, be a receivers coach? Does he have a connection to Ben Johnson? I don't have the answers to those questions, but I know he's well respected at the college level. And I'll tell you this, Google Ohio State receivers in the NFL the past decade since Brian Hartline's been there. There's about 50 of them. So you could certainly, he seems to know what he's doing. Some of that is just he gets them on campus and recruits, but I would have to think he's just a good coach as well. So yeah, I mean, that's an intriguing name for sure. V, first time super, appreciate it. How do we feel about our running back room draft Jeanty? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of Jeanty talk, a lot of running back talk. At this point in late January, I would not go Jeanty. I'm looking at day 2 for a running back. There's a lot of good backs in that day 2 range that I think the Bears can get. They got those 3 picks. I would go for if a Marion Hampton slips a little bit, if you get a Caleb Johnson, a Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, even a Devin Neal out of Kansas. There's a lot of good ones in this draft. Ollie Gordon a little bit later, R.J. Harvey. So I do think you need to add a piece, no doubt. I think that's a must. I don't think you have to take Ashton Jeanty in the first round, though. I don't. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Championship weekend here? Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, Commanders? Who you got winning it all? KC for the Chiefs, BUF for Buffalo, PHI for the Philadelphia Eagles, or WAS for the Cinderella Washington Commanders? Ryan, do you think Jayden Daniels and CJ Stroud will change how the league views success for rookie QBs? Will that become the norm? I mean, it's hard to say, right? I mean, CJ Stroud in year 2, I thought took a step back. Now he, still won a playoff game, did some good things. Wasn't a bad year, but it's hard to say. I do think that you're seeing the smart offensive minds at the NFL level help younger quarterbacks quicker, make things easier, give them solutions. Kind of the opposite of Shane Waldron, who tried to do a complex timing system for Caleb Williams, who probably wasn't quite ready for that. So I still think what's been true has always been true and will always be true. situation at that position matters a ton. Now, some guys were just never going to be good. I think Trubisky's a good example of that. People tell me all the time, Mitch got screwed. Not saying he was coached well, but like if he was so awesome, he wouldn't be considered a bad backup now. Like he's not even one of the better backups. But yeah, I think Caleb, had some talent around him this year, but clearly did not have good coaching. Jayden had great coaching and good, but not great talent. Honestly, Jayden deserves a lot of credit. He had, you could argue it's the best rookie season ever. So I still think it's situation, Ryan, but it does seem like these guys come in ready to go more so than they did 10, 15 years ago. Edward, Skattebo in round 2 and cut Johnson. I'm not on the cut Roschon train. I think as your third back, that's a good role for him. He can give you some short yardage carries. He can catch the football. He can play on special teams. Skattebo, I like him. I feel like he's at the media darling right now. Like, I want someone who's more dynamic. Like, his toughness, his physicality, I think some of that will translate. But is he running over middle linebackers in the NFL? Right? Like, I need a little more juice. Now, maybe he'll surprise me and he'll test better than expected at the combine, but I kind of think he's going to run like a 4.75, and that's not great. But I don't think the 40-yard dash matters a ton in the NFL, but I would like someone who can run away from people a little bit. Like even David Montgomery, he's shifty. He has some long touchdown runs and runs in general on his resume. He ran like a 4.66. Like I don't know if Skattebo is ripping 50-yarders in the NFL. So yeah, I want to keep Johnson, but I also want to upgrade, and I do think Skattebo is better than Johnson. I want to make that clear, but I would go in a different direction, at least in round 2. If you told me Skattebo round 3, round 4, sure. Second round, right now that feels a little too high for me. Okay, appreciate all the questions. Got a bunch of good ones. If we missed your question, ask away on social media at HGramNFL, Twitter, and Instagram. We will get you answered over there. My name is Harrison Graham. Bear down.